All right. Oops. Sorry, guys. So thank you everybody for attending. This is a super awesome event. There's a ton of heavy hitters, obviously, and I'm going to bring a little bit of a different spin. I'm not a media buyer myself. I'm not in payment processing or anything like that. I like to say that ShineOn specializes in unique, handmade, on-demand products. And so today I'm just going to talk about what ShineOn is, sort of the opportunity at scale for handmade products and also personalized products, regardless of whether you're doing that with ShineOn. I'm going to talk about some places where you can do design research, and I'm going to talk a little bit about targeting tips for personalized products and handmade goods as well. So a lot of people over the COVID period, and especially over Mother's Day, broke some of their all-time records. It was sort of a perfect storm between malls being shut down, people needing gifts for the holiday. CPMs were low. It was really the perfect storm. And so this is just one of the stores that uses the ShineOn Shopify app. We have over 8,000 stores that are using the ShineOn Shopify app, over 2,000 affiliates on ShineOn.com. And this one seller had a hell of a week selling our stuff. And so what is ShineOn? Well, what I have sort of simplified it to over the years, and especially lately, is we're taking the concept of Etsy, where it's all these personalized handmade goods, and putting those products in the hands of direct response marketers, right? So instead of all those products being found organically, and Etsy, obviously they're a public company. They made a great business off of organic search for these products. What we found is a lot of these products actually kick ass when you're doing direct response, but it's just, you have to do it a little bit in a different way than what you might do for obviously like supplements or gadgets or something like that. So I like to think that we're becoming more and more of an expert on selling products that sort of pull heartstrings and make people cry. These are just a few of our products. We did start in jewelry. So we've sort of become known as the POD jewelry company. That can take place in a couple different ways. One is right on the product itself, like this buyer photo upload, the personalized engraving. We do birthstones. We do a lot of engraving in birthstones. And then most recently, this thing that we call the message card, which is a printed card that we're laying behind the physical product. So we have about a dozen jewelry products currently. It's our goal to have 50 available hot selling jewelry products at all times. And also it's our plan to move into new types of products. The same concept will work with things like leather journals. The same concept will work with things like wood watches and whatnot. And so we want to be able to dive into all those things you can find on Etsy. What is ShineOn? So first and foremost, the heart of the company is this personalization and light manufacturing factory that we built in New Jersey. I know the DFO guys have been out to our space before. We're not too far away, about an hour from the city, New York City. And what we're doing is we're testing all of these different personalized handmade products, basically putting them through Product Olympics every single week. That's not necessarily a new concept, but when we do identify and validate a winner, we bring it into our facility and set up the automation and the personalization at scale. That's really the big differentiator, is like, how do you do personalization at scale? The Chinese are really good at doing this sort of manually by hand. They are basically just throwing bodies at it. But we're trying to be smart about that and how to automate it and do it in the US. So once we have these products available, we distribute them through two different ways. One is through the Shopify app, like I mentioned, and the other way is the ShineOn platform. And for both of them, frequently we have to also publish a unique page for that product. It's the only way we can get the customizations back into our admin system. So that would be a space for engraving or a birthstone selector, a place where the buyer can upload their photo, etc. So, like, why sell personalized products at all? Well, if you just look at some of these public companies, I mean, it's a massive opportunity. And these are products that also sell year round. They're not necessarily just seasonal products like Mother's Day or Christmas. Personalization Mall, they have a pending deal with 1-800-Flowers for $252 million. It got delayed a little bit by COVID. But obviously that's become quite attractive to a massive billion-dollar company like 1-800-Flowers. Things Remembered is preceded Personalization Mall. It's basically the in-person version of that was in malls across America. And they just filed for bankruptcy, but before that they were doing $300 million a year. I think the bankruptcy is not like a bad thing for you to look at because people want this product. It's just that they don't want to like buy it in the mall anymore. They don't want to sit in front of like an engraving machine at the mall and wait for that. Even though that's cool, we can do a much better job doing it digitally. And then of course, Alex and Ani, they're sort of like the ultimate brand. I think I would regard it as the ultimate brand in affinity-based jewelry and personalized products. So the biggest lesson that we've had like in this entire business is that we're not really selling a product. Okay, so this product on the left, we obviously use the different spy tools out there, Amazon, Etsy, eBay, etc. And we tried to sell this product internally, and we had like no sales on it, maybe like 1 or 2 sales, and we're like, geez, this is such a cool product. Why is it not selling? And what we realized, like, it's really not about the product at all. It's about the heartstrings that you're pulling. It's about the message that you're creating. And so literally this one SKU, like with this card, it's on our homepage right now. You know, there's over 50,000 orders for that single SKU. You can rip it if you want, be our guest. But there's a lot more. I think we have almost 500,000 different SKUs that are user generated by the community. Okay, so again, I think the biggest difference between us and some of the other types of products like gadgets and supplements is that we're not solving a problem, right? There's no like problem solution sort of thing to figure out here. The thing to figure out is how to make people cry. And I always say like crying equals cash, okay? And now if you look at these 2 message cards, which came from our graphic design group. That's the only reason why I'm sharing them is because the designer gave us permission. To my wife, we may not be perfect, but we are perfect for each other. Love, your husband. To my wife, I fell in love with you because of the million things you never knew you were doing. I love you more than you'll ever know. Okay? So crying equals cash. Where do we find some of these messages? It's really not hard. Both Etsy and Pinterest are both flooded with these different kinds of messages. And it's funny because when we started the biz, we thought that like the simpler, the better for jewelry. But we've often found that the more words that are put on the piece itself or on the message card, like almost the more words there are, the better it sells. So it was like totally opposite of what we thought. But just an example, we were doing some Mother's Day searches here on Etsy. Mother's Day, over 2 million searches per month. Gifts for mom, 165,000 per month, etc. And you can do the same exact thing on Pinterest. It doesn't have to come from a jewelry item. Like the quote could come from a mug. It could come from a card. You know, you could find stuff on Personalization Mall, like tons of different places. The quotes are sort of repetitive. It'll work on almost any product because it's, like I said, it's not about the product per se. So the ShineOn Profits on Demand is our sort of affiliate Facebook group. You can learn more about the stuff that we teach there. But if you want to find inspiration, the best place is actually our sister group, which is called ShineOn Graphic Design. We have a lot of awesome designers from all around the world that can help you out with, and it doesn't just have to be our products. You know, if you find people that are really good designers and you want to try it on something else, that's great. You know, I just want to help all of you guys out there. The latest thing that's been quote unquote crushing it are these buyer upload products. And we found a way, we partnered up with this app called Product Personalizer. And we actually got a 60-day free deal with them if you use the code 60 days. And basically what this tool does is you combine the ShineOn app with the message card, and you combine Product Personalizer so the buyer can upload their photo. Typically, this is like a pain in the ass. You would need a VA to go in there and change the artwork, like in Photoshop, and then swap the artwork in the ShineOn app. But if you use this app below, like you'll never have to do any of that by hand or with a VA. So that equals scalability. So these are a little bit simplistic. Again, like I don't do media buying myself, but I do see all the trends that are coming in from hundreds and hundreds of thousands of orders. But you have to really consider who the buyer is. Typically, it's not the person wearing it, which is opposite of a t-shirt, right? If you're targeting a t-shirt, you're going to target that person who's going to be wearing it. But with all of our products, most often they're purchased as gifts. Okay, so I like to say it's reverse targeting. You're targeting the buyer, not the wearer. Go broad interest, 5 million plus. That's definitely achievable because of family gifting. There's so many different relationships within a family. You have to my dad, to my son, to my mother, to my daughter, to my grandmother, to my grandfather, to my uncle. There's so many different ways you can cut family gifting, and like 99% of people have a family. And so there's just massive audiences. That's like the first place I would go to if you're thinking about starting like a niche store. Okay, and then just really simple ad copy, 2 to 3 lines maximum. You don't need to go like super deep with your copy in order to sort of trigger that response for buyers. The ad images work great. I think ad images have worked just as good as videos when we're selling these personalized products. Again, doesn't need a lot of explanation. And most of our the top ads from our affiliates and our Shopify store partners, I would say the majority of those ad images are actually taken with an iPhone. I'm sure you've heard of this in other places before. I just want to go through a little bit of like out of the box targeting too. Again, asking like, who is the buyer? Who is the user? So this is just an example of some stuff that worked really well for Mother's Day, and you may want to consider it for Father's Day too. But most people are like, why would I target the mom during Mother's Day? Why would I target like a married woman, right? Like a lot of people just automatically write that off, but you have to think about family dynamics and what other connections that mom has. Like she could have a mother, right? Typically, the mom is also making most of the purchasing decisions before. I know that like my mom has sort of bought gifts for herself, and we sort of pseudo said it was for me, right? That happens sometimes. So we had super good results targeting the person that nobody else was targeting, which was the mom in this case. And then just another concept can be single men too. They buy gifts for obviously their mothers and their grandparents as well. So I don't know how we're doing for time there, but that's everything that's going on right now with personalized products. But again, like I said, this doesn't necessarily just relate to like jewelry. This can relate to any of these sort of handcrafted goods, including things like wall art.
Yeah, Eric, I think that's one that was awesome. I think the thing that I wrote down here was the power of copy, right?
Yeah.
Power of words. And I think that's something that can resonate with almost everybody on this call, whatever business you're in, to get people to take an action, to call them to action. It's all about what those words say and how they say it and what they mean. And I think, I love your crying equals cash piece. You gotta get that like on a big wall artboard and put it in your warehouse.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have like Iconic make it or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, in a way, like crying does equal cash. That is, in some circumstances, that is actually solving a problem too. It might be solving the problem of like, I need a gift, right? But before they think about that, we have to really trigger an emotional response, which is just a lot different from solving a gadget problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of that stuff, we see a lot of that these days. One quick question from the audience. In the next few months, what are one or two changes coming for sellers of ShineOn products? Is there anything coming down the pipeline?
Well, we're just testing way more products now, and sort of just doing all these things at scale. I like to think of like our business and the sellers as, more sellers, more products for them to sell, and then helping them sell more of those units. And so I think we're really getting on top of more products. But another thing that we're working super hard on is just conversion rate optimization. And so that's why we want to help people that either they can't afford conversion rate optimization or they don't want to like start from scratch with it. We're starting to share, like we're pushing these updates to a lot of our pages, but we're also sharing with them like the results of before and after, so they can see it themselves and sort of start getting a foundation of CRO and how important that is.
Yeah. For some of the business owners and brand owners out there, since customers have this sort of Amazonian expectation, what are you guys doing to expedite customer orders? Have you put any communication things in place or anything in place, especially during this time?
Like, you mean just getting them out the door quickly?
Yeah, just making sure that people are updated if there's a delay and stuff. Because, I know obviously you guys are doing a lot of the manufacturing here.
Yeah, I think to do personalization at scale, you have to just think about the whole business differently. Like the archaic way would be, okay, we're going to get 1 million units of this and we're going to like have it ready for Q4. But like, we don't really do that. We're sort of like streaming. The whole business is streaming, whether we're streaming parts from vendors weekly with weekly ordering, or we're streaming our fulfillment staff to help with those spikes. We've sort of, with our fulfillment team, we've built this roster of people that basically are down to come in with a day's notice, So I think it's just being nimble and also thinking about the business from a streaming perspective, but also ensuring that when you are ordering different parts that you need or packages or whatever, that you try to automate that process as much as possible, and doing things like getting your vendors not just in a shared Google sheet, but build a little admin app for your vendors so that they can click when something is shipped, right? So that they can give you the tracking like on a weekly basis. And so what we used to say with all of our vendors, whether it's for boxes or packaging or like whatever, we used to say, don't send us less than X amount. Let's call it, don't send us less than 20,000 at a time. But now it's, don't send us like more than 20,000 parts at a time. Because then if we're always streaming, we're able to adapt better to things like COVID and Mother's Day that for us, it like blew up out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I want to thank you, first of all. I think that was really helpful. I think everybody here saw the Mother's Day slide that Eric showed at the beginning of his presentation. So you guys know that ShineOn is 3 things, right? They're a factory in New Jersey. They manufacture jewelry, other personalized stuff. They're a free Shopify app, and they're an affiliate platform where you can sell through ShineOn. You don't have to manage your own store. So if you love Shopify, if you own a Shopify store, you love the POD model, but you don't love its limited selection, then like ShineOn, these guys are your guys. They've got lots of awesome high margin products, and I'm talking like 6-to-1 cost to COGS kind of thing, all without buying inventory. So go to ShineOn.com, click sellers and affiliates, and install the free app today. Eric Taz, thank you. I appreciate the wisdom. Power of copy, man. We're going to get it done.
Trying, man. Appreciate the kind words.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to take the presenter ball back here. And